we have it in the F Sport range. So today we're going to be going and we're going to take it for a drive, of course. We're going to look at the interior and exterior and see what the updates are as opposed to the older model. Not only that, we're going to see, should you get the F Sport, should you get the Sports Luxury, or should you even get the 250 at all? Should you maybe stick with the 300h, the hybrid? For those watching in America, here in Australia, we do not get the 350, so I can't compare that. Although I wish we did, because that is going to be an awesome car. But anyways, guys, welcome back. If you haven't watched me before, my name is Serge. Let's just get straight into it. What a magnificent looking car. Like, look at the lines on that. It looks sensational. In Australia, they only get 3 models, the Luxury Enhancement Pack, and the F Sport. It is the top of the range in the 250 range. Let's start off with the front, and at the front here we have that big Lexus F Sport grille, the tri-LED high beams there, the front camera, the nice charcoal vents on the side, and an overall very nice feel. Now, that Lexus emblem, of course, is for the adaptive cruise control. Coming off to the side, the car has 19-inch wheels, and coming off to the back, it has those very nice LEDs there. And actually, unlike a lot of other Lexuses, which get the conjoining light, this one here is not joined with a LED bar. It's just a chrome strip along the back. And they have gone with a style to sort of hide the exhaust, sort of like the hybrid, although I can see it just peeking out from there. Of course, the rear camera, and of course on the sides, it had the side cameras. Now, to look at the boot, this is electric, and it is a massive sized boot. Absolutely massive. And something I find very interesting is there's no space for the warning triangle or the valet kit, because the warning triangle used to go here. It was like little clips here, and the valet kit should fit underneath here, but these gaps here are too small for them, because if you put that there, it still sticks up. So I'm not sure what happened there, and that gap there is too small, so in there they live. Anyways, okay, so let's come off and have a quick look at the interior, because this is where they've made the biggest change, and you can see it straight away. It's that massive screen there in the middle being pushed all the way forward, and now it's a touch screen. I'm also loving the design that they've done here, sort of blend in with the chrome style black finish here with the shiny black there. It just looks sensational. And these seats, boy do they look good in the F Sport. Now let's have a look at the back. Plenty of space there. I would say for 3 adults, but we'll jump in there and we'll have a look. Okay, so now we're seeing the ES, and I'm at the lowest position. So we do have a fair amount of playroom, and from the sunroof obviously a lot more, but this is where your head will hit first. So it's probably about that much space. For context, I am 5'11", but let's say you want to sit higher and you're a little bit shorter. The seat goes all the way up, and will my head touch the ceiling? Oh, it just did. There we go. Like that's touching just there. So a fair amount of room for movement if you do prefer to sit higher. Let's go back down. Now, this being an F Sport, it does have the F Sport cluster there, and it's actually pretty fantastic, because look at this. It's a mechanical digital display. Like, that's pretty cool. It just swipes left to right, and of course we do have the nice big F Sport steering wheel, which is actually rather thick. Like, that has a thick steering wheel. Of course, we've got paddle shifts here, and unlike our hybrid counterpart, these actually do something, because this is a regular automatic car, but we'll go through that while we're driving. Here we go. Here's this big 12-inch display, which is fully touchscreen now. And as far as seating positions goes, probably about 1.5 inches. So of course, when I am touching the left hand side of the screen, I do have to push forward, but otherwise it's actually a convenient viewing angle. Like, they said it's 5 degrees angled to the driver, and I think that's just the perfect amount. Coming down here, oh, what a classy finish. Down here we've got our heated seats and cooling seats, and we do get the rear sunshade as well. CD player there. In here we have some cash. Oh, how good's that? We got some cash. It's actually my cash, but anyways. We've got the USB ports there as well. Of course, we've got the touchpad for the screen too, so you can either use the touchpad or the touch screen. Of course, our gear shift lever, start stop technology is off, and the auto hold. Now this here is actually pretty cool because this is like a little level, so if I have a regular cup, it sits perfectly here, and if I have a bottle, I pull that lever up and it's very deep. Very deep. Anyways, inside here we have our wireless phone charger, enough cubby space for a lot of things, and this thing does open left to right as well. Now we're sitting in the back, and I'm sitting on the outer seat, and this is a very comfortable position, and even though it has that real like sloping headline, I'm sitting actually rather close to the ceiling. I'm not touching it. Let's put that up. I'm not touching it, but I am rather close. And no, I gotta say the seating position is good. And the leg room, this is absurd. Like, look at that leg room. And this is where I was sitting to drive. And look at my leg room. Like, this is, who needs this much leg room? Look at that, I can have a party here. Well, now we do have our USB chargers here as well. They are actually USB-Cs, and just regular USB ports there. Of course, our air conditioning controls there. And we're sitting in the middle now, and we still have a bit of space. Like, this is very surprising. Like, most middle seats have zero space, and I'm not touching it. I'm close, but I ain't touching it. Like, that is incredible. That is incredible. So you can sit 3 adults in the back of the ES. What a wonderful thing inside a saloon nowadays, because let's face it, you get a rear-wheel drive saloon and you're sitting like this, like the IS. If you haven't watched my IS video, I have an IS video and my head's like that because you just can't sit in the back of it. But this is very comfortable, and actually the middle seat has actually a bit more padding. But anyways, that's enough of that. Let's take the car for a drive and let's see how this car feels. This new ES is a midlife cycle update, that's what they like to call it. And they've actually done a proper job of it. Now, it's hard to figure out what's so different, like, other than the fact that this screen, which we've already talked about, being 4 inches closer. It's really hard to figure out from the front and even the back if they've even changed anything at all, because aesthetically wise, it looks much the same. Now, the luxury and the sports luxury variants, they got a little bit of a different grille. At the front, if you got the triple LED high beams, you do get blade scan technologies now as well, which was only on the RX and the LS, and now you get it on the ES as well, which at night are just ridiculously bright. That's the exterior updates. Interior updates, we have this screen here, which is now, like I said, 4 inches closer, and it's touchscreen as well, so you can really, you know, utilize the touchscreen of it, which, to be fair, while you're driving, it's a pretty hard task to begin with. Like, you have to bend in, you still have to look at it. So really, I do actually find the touchpad a little bit easier. So you're probably thinking, well, Sage, how's a midlife cycle car if that's all they've changed? Well, they've changed things under the skin. And what I mean by that is, the way this car drives now is a lot smoother. So what they've done is they've, as part of the, I'm not sure if this is the right word, the infrastructure in the chassis, added support in the back, changed the suspension setup to really give it a more comfortable feel, to give the car less of the jarring feeling every time you go over the bumps, and more of a controlled, smooth feeling. You know, so when you're sitting in the car, you're really, it's a really seamless drive. And like the ES300h, anyone that's watched any of my videos knows how much I love that car, and they know how much I talk about being such a smooth car, so refined and so grounded on the road. I've driven the ES300h in the F Sport with the same 19-inch wheels, and I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I disliked it so much, in fact, that I refuse to make a video on it. Like, I'm not even joking. Oh, look at that. The difference is not in the engine. I'm not talking about the smoothness of the engine. I'm talking about the smoothness in the handling. Going around the bend like that. Or going over bumps, potholes. It absorbs a lot more of the road. Let's have a quick chat about the engine in the ES250, because here in Australia, this is the first petrol ES that we've got since the previous generation. It's a 4-cylinder, 152 kilowatt engine with 243 Newton meters of torque, which isn't a lot really. It's not meant to be a lot, I get it, but it's very, very underwhelming. It's a very underwhelming engine. And as you will see when we do a 0 to 60 test, it's not exactly quick either. It's just to put in perspective, 0 to 100 in this is 9.1 seconds. 9.1 seconds. Now I know for some guys out there, they're gonna say, well, 9 seconds, that's a good effort. That's a good effort. Probably, but not for driving a car. not 0 to 100 in a car. Oh dear. Even the hybrid is quicker. The hybrid is 0 to 100 in 8.9 seconds. And it's heavier. But yes, to be fair, the hybrid does have 8 more kilowatts combined. They have put a traditional gearbox in this, no more CVT. It's a 8-speed gearbox, and I have found it at times to be a rather confused gearbox. Like, what I mean by that is that it doesn't know what gear to go in sometimes. Especially when I've had to put my foot hard down, I've noticed it had to change gears twice. Like it went, I don't know, from whatever gear it was, it downshifted, and then it downshifted again, which I found rather interesting. In driving like this, of course, the car is very nice. And that's the biggest thing I do have to say is, when you're buying a car like this, you're not buying it to race it. You know, you're not buying it to race it. You are buying it for the comfort. But at the same time, I do want a little bit of pizzazz from my engine. And this is not the engine for it. This is not the engine for it. Anyways, let's talk about the F-Sport range. The F-Sport's actually a very nice car. Like, obviously it's got these sports seats, which I actually absolutely love, which is nice hugging sensation, and they're a little bit harder than the sports luxury seats, but they're not jarring. You know, you jump in some European cars and they're sports seats and it's like boop, and you're like, oh, these are sports seats, you know. But no, the Lexus, these are still comfortable. Like, you can go on a road trip on this and still be comfortable. And the F-Sport does have this thicker steering wheel, which is a bit thicker than what I'm used to. But anyways, it's a nice car, but it's still smooth, it's still comfortable. And even with these bigger wheels, it absorbs the road very nicely. If I was getting a hybrid, I definitely wouldn't pick the F-Sport. If I was getting a 250, it definitely would be a consideration. Now we're going to do a 0 to 60 test, foot hard down. Oh, that was slow. That was so slow. Oh my goodness. It was actually 0 to 70. There's a 70 road. And boy, did that take forever. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's do the sway test. Left to right. Handled it very nicely. Wait, let's try one more time. A little bit delayed in the steering response. Wait, let's do this left to right hook turn here. Let's test that out. Going 50 k's an hour. Let's see how it responds. Oh, that was slow to react. Wow. When I had to hook it back, slow to react. There you go, the sway test. And let's do one more test. Like I said, the stopping test. And pretty spot on. Now you're probably thinking, Serge, what the hell was that all about? Now I was watching a video of the training, and what they were showing is they were doing the sway test left to right in the new ES and the previous ES, and then they did the brake test. And the brake test I found very interesting, because in the brake test both cars come to a complete stop at the same speed, and the new ES, like, you know when you stop and there's always that jolt at the end, you know, when you stop there's always that little that. It is very minimized in this new ES. Like, the previous ES was good to begin with, like it was really good. And again, it's one of those things that when you're driving a car you probably never notice, but it's these subtleties which Lexus really works on. It's these little subtleties which Lexus works on, and it really makes for an enjoyable drive. Now the last thing I want to talk about is, should you get an ES250 or should you get an ES300h? And I'll go hybrid. I'll go hybrid. It's, yes, this is very smooth, but that's smoother. Yes, this is very comfortable, but that's more comfortable. Yes, this has a very grounded feel, but you guessed it, the hybrid is more grounded. And the hybrid is just supreme in its comfort and smoothness and joy for driving. Like, this feels heavy on the road. Like, now I'm going 40 k's now. If I put my foot hard down, it doesn't feel, there's no liveliness to it, you know. It just feels like a car. Like, obviously it's not meant to feel like this, like a GTR, which is, you know, exhilarating or responsive. No, it's not meant to feel like that. But it's also not meant to feel sluggish and boring and lackluster. That's the word, lackluster. You know, the hybrid, at least when you're driving it, you feel luxury. You know, you feel this serenity in driving. It's so smooth, it's so comfortable. It's like you're on a cloud almost. In this, it's just like, there's nothing about this car which makes you want to turn around when you leave it and say, yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoyed that. And that's the thing. That's the thing. I would still buy the hybrid. I would spend the 2 extra grand, and yes, literally, that's the difference between the petrol and the hybrid. 2 grand. So for 2 grand, I would get the hybrid. I would feel that serenity in driving, that smoothness, that luxurious feel. I would do that. And I would love myself for it. Oh. Anyways, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like the video. Be sure to subscribe, because I have so many videos coming out towards the end of this year. And if you did want to watch the video on the ES300h, I'll put a link in the description down below. But anyways, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you did enjoy it, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, what a beautiful day! Let's go for a swim. Let's go for a swim. Let's do 20 to 60. So we're going 18 k's now, foot hard down. Oh, that is slow. That now let's do one more acceleration test. Oh, look at the Lambo, look at the Lambo.